Espero que nadie se ofenda, pero hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. O valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Good evening. Welcome to episode 56, the last one of this disastrous season. I'm sure there's many other adjectives that we could use for it.
That's
I'm sure
a good
we'll
one.
pick up a few along the conversation. Title is, what did we do to deserve this? I took that from Kenny's comment in our text the other day. Gentlemen, how are we?
Could be better.
Could be better. Could always be worse, I guess, right? Could always be worse.
What's worse?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Today, we got a few different topics to touch on. Benfica loses the final of the Taça de Portugal against Braga 2-0. And there were some cases we'll talk about. Frustrating end to a disappointing season. I know that we had talked about this won't save the season, but it'll at least give us something positive from, a bucket of shit that we had all season. But turns out that we just got ourselves another bucket of shit to add on to the one that we already had. We'll talk about the season, kind of a review of the season. What did we think? What was our high? What was our low? Touch on fan expectations versus reality. Us as fans, what do we expect going into the season? And is it realistic in regards to what could really happen? So it'll be interesting to see what your perspectives are on that. We got Coach in here, new episode of Cantinho Benfiquista, the Jerry Springer edition. Can't wait. It should be good. So I'll start with Braga 2, Benfica 0. A game that Benfica stayed with the back three. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he moved Otamendi out to the right. Vertonghen was in the middle of the three, and Morata was on the left. The only reason that I can think of, the reason he did that, is because Vertonghen and Morata are both left-footed. So in order for him not to have a left-footed player on the right and a left-footed player on the left, he put a left-footed player in the middle, had a left-footed player on the left, and a right-footed player on the right to make it hopefully easier. But I didn't like the fact that Vertonghen was playing in the middle. There was a few plays that they played the ball in behind, played the ball over the top, and he was just really leggy. One that stands out is the first goal, which there's
the PK. And the red card.
The red card. And there's a play in the second half where Abel Ruiz gets the ball out wide, and he just literally touches the ball and comes inside, and Vertonghen basically just gets completely lost in the play. Diogo Gonçalves, Grimaldo on the wings, Tarat, Weigl, Everton, Pizzi, Sef. Obviously, Pizzi comes out early. We'll let Oscar give us his thoughts on that. Red card, 17 minutes into the game. I'll get your guys' opinion on it, but I've watched that replay time and time again. I cannot see a touch at all. And if you look at the play again, the touch goes out, the ball's going out the sideline on top of it. So he's not going to goal. He's going way away from goal. I can't find a touch on it. For me, there's many other things that happen in the game, but when you get a red card in 17 minutes, obviously it's going to impact the game, especially a final. But the fact that VAR didn't even call that back is astonishing to me. And of course, when we kind of threw everything forward, they scored a second goal. Thinking back, the only chance that I can really think of that we really had was Weigl's, that the goalie saved, and they came back down on that same play basically and scored on the mistake for me, Vertonghen first, and then Odysseas. I don't know where the hell he's going. Kenny, I'll start with you. I always start with Oscar, so I'll start with you. What did you think of this game?
So, we were clearly hoping for a victory there to kind of get something out of the season. So I was disappointed in the loss. Even with the red card, I think we as Benfica should do enough to win a game like that. It wasn't the saving, it wouldn't save the season, but it would have been something to finish the season on a high note. So it was disappointing. The red card, I think the red card, you might look at it as harsh. I think there is a touch. I think he touches him with his hand. When you have the goalie coming out like that, it's always going to go in favor of the forward. And whether the ball's going out the sideline or whatever, he gets there first. The goalie comes in late. He's out of position. I think it's. I'm not going to argue the red card there. But yeah, besides that, I think, we had a couple of chances, I think, in the second half that we probably could have made it 1-1. But at the end of the day, we after the red card, it was very difficult.
Oscar?
I don't think it was supposed to be a red card. I think even if he touched him, the ball is going to the corner flag, and to me, that's not a red card. A red card is if the ball is going towards goal and he stops a forward from going it's a goal, guaranteed goal. The ball is going. He probably wouldn't catch up to the ball at this point, but if he did, it was going to the corner flag. So I don't think it's a red card. It's a bad red card. And the VAR not analyzing or even reviewing it is, to me, beyond unbelievable. All right. So that's the first thing. Second thing is there's no more excuses. All right. This team was put together right now after COVID is not a factor anymore. Right. There's not an excuse for COVID. If you guys remember, we played against Juventus with 10 guys. We played against Porto with 10 guys when the Chapéu from André Gomes. Remember that? We played many games and crucial games against top teams with 10 guys, and we were a team. We played as a team. So this team, as soon as we got a red card, to me, it was over because I don't trust this team, right? So there's no more excuses, no more COVID. There's a lot of investment in this year, and this is what it comes down to. The team is not solid. It's not solid, and it's a failure of a season. It's, to me, a horrible season because of the investment. Horrible season. So other than that, there's nothing else to say. We had one chance this game. The game ended at 15 minutes in.
What did you think of the Pizzi substitution?
Oh, you want me to start with that now?
Well, yeah, we're talking about the game. I mean, my opinion is the only way Pizzi can stay in that game is if we revert back to a 4 at the back. Why? Because as much as we want to complain about Tarat, he gives us a lot more off the ball than Pizzi will. And you're down a man 17 minutes in, you got a lot of game to play, and you're going to have a lot of running to do. And Pizzi's not that guy, unfortunately. And the only reason I think he would stay is if we go to a back 4. You take a center back out, you go to a back 4, and then you essentially play a 4-4-1. Seth is on an island by himself, right? And you don't have to occupy as much space. But the way we were playing with 3 at the back, Pizzi coming out, I think made sense because he's only going to give you soccer one way going forward. He's not going to track back, and you need someone who's going to put in a shift defensively. And I know what you're going to say. Does Everton do that? He might not do that. But the difference between Pizzi and Everton individually, Everton has the ability to go at defenders, right? And he may not have shown that a lot this season.
We showed up 2 games, and now we trust him to do it in the final.
I'm not saying that we trust him, but what I'm saying is he gives you that outlet, right? He gives you that ability to give the ball to a guy like Everton and hopefully take on a guy and have the confidence to beat a guy and go. Pizzi's not that guy either. He's not going to take the ball at midfield and beat a guy and go, right? He's more of a come and get the ball, let's get others involved. So he's not going to help defensively, where Everton maybe doesn't help as much. But offensively, he gives you the option to be able to have that outlet of either going long to Seth or playing it to him and hoping he can beat someone on a one-on-one. That's my perspective of why I think it made sense.
And it failed.
And it did. And
It
Everton
failed
ended up
because-
coming off.
because-
But it's
because
a gamble you have to make, right?
because Pizzi gives you guarantees.
What
Everton was
guarantees does it
maybe-
give you, though?
Yeah,
He
with
gives
down a guy, what guarantee does
What
he
guar-
give?
Huh?
With a down a guy.
Yeah, but Pizzi can create. He can create with a long ball. He can create with a short ball. He can create a give and goes. That the Pizzi can create those spaces.
Who are you going to give those to?
Huh?
Right.
Who are you going to give those to?
What are we going to give those to? What do you mean? What do you mean?
So,
if
you're, so,
you're
all right,
down
so
a
we
guy.
take Everton out.
No, if you take Everton or Taarabt, right? Just think about this. We're playing with 3 defenders, right? 3 center back. We're playing with Diogo Gonçalves and Grimaldo helping the midfield, right? They're our wing backs. So if you take out Taarabt, Pizzi is not going to have the whole midfield with Weigl. He's going to have Grimaldo and Diogo Gonçalves helping out the middle, right? And then you have Everton and Seferovic for Pizzi to create up front. Without Pizzi in the game was over. Game was over. Essentially, absolutely over. We couldn't create a shit. Taarabt didn't create shit.
I get that, but
Shit.
I don't think.
So
But it could have gone the other way, right? Pizzi could. It's easy to retroactively have this conversation, right? Pizzi could have stayed on. Everton could have came off, and Pizzi did shit, right?
no,
and
but
then
I would have taken out Taarabt because we had 3 center backs, and because we had the wing backs pushed up to help the midfield. And we played with Pizzi against Porto with 3 center backs. Pizzi in the midfield with Weigl. I know we had 11 guys. I get it, but we played with Pizzi in the middle, and he helped defensively and offensively. We had our best game of the season.
correct.
Yeah, but
it's a different
how
game.
many times does he do that? Right. That's like
With 3 center backs, I trust
but-
Pizzi in the middle.
how well does he play in that defensive role?
He
that
doesn't
much?
with 3 center backs. He doesn't.
Exactly. It's happened once. The Porto game is the only time he actually tracked back and worked his ass off defensively. When you're
Right.
down a guy, you can't gamble like that, though. You play the
Especially
safe
in a
bet.
final.
The safe bet is taking either Pizzi or Everton out, one of the 2 wingers up top. That's the safe bet.
I don't agree with that. I totally don't agree with that. As soon as just look at the history that Pizzi has against Braga alone. Against Braga, okay. Pizzi is not, if not the last 6 years, our best player against Braga. Most goals, most assists, most everything against Braga. He's got Braga's number. You can't take a player out, our most creative player out when he's not only is he our most creative player, the one that creates more chances, he's our captain, and he's the first guy chosen to come out on a big game like this. This game, Pizzi to me, it would have been like, I'm not that important in this team. I want out.
Kenny, do you agree?
I 100% agree. I said it on the group chat with Oscar that Taarabt, for me, Taarabt should have gotten off the field.
100%. I thought with that game, we had to win the game. It's not a game we could tie. We could just hold off a result. We had to win this game. Why take Taarabt didn't create nothing the whole game, legit. Other than a few fouls and elbows and bullshit that he does every game. That's all he did, right? Defensively, I didn't even see much doing defensively. All right, what he did defensively, I guarantee Pizzi could have done. So with the safe bet, we're here. If you wanted to create anything going on forward, would have been Pizzi stay on the field. Taarabt.
Especially too, because Everton wasn't creating anything either. Like we literally lost. We were just doing long balls to Seth, and Seth couldn't do anything with it. So, I agree that I would have liked to have seen Pizzi stay there to create some chances because, like Oscar said, we didn't create anything after that. And I know we're down a man, but
the only chance we created, like Mikey said, was Weigl on the rebound. It was a rebound that off a shot that I think Diogo Gonçalves took.
Mhm.
Okay. That's not creating a chance. That's just got unlucky with the ball falling to Weigl, right? So we didn't going offensively. We created nothing after the 15th minute. Before that, it was basically just the teams feeling each other. But after that, forget it. The game was over. We couldn't create. And let's look back at the times when we played again with 10 guys. We actually created chances. We won games. We came back from being down against Porto and created chances and won the game 3-2. Like, it's not like, and now we have investments of millions and we can't do that. So who do we blame?
Dave, our buddy here, Braga fan, I'm sure he's excited and happy. Would you have considered taking out a central defender? Like I said at the beginning, if I would have kept Pizzi on the field, I would have reverted to a back 4. I would have taken Morato out, played with Vertonghen, Otamendi, Diogo, and Grimaldo. And then you basically still have your midfield intact. And you can basically pack the midfield, right? You can put a Chiquinho in there, right? You can play him central, or you can move Pizzi inside and bring on a Rafa, right? So he still gives you that explosion going out, right? Having that ability to play in over the top. But that probably would have been my first choice, is to go to a back four.
And you take out Muratu?
Morata. I would have taken Morata out. I would have played with a back four, and the midfield would have been, I probably would have gone with a Taarabt, Weigl, Pizzi in front, and then Rafa out wide. Basically, you're playing with, Seth, unfortunately, is out on an island, right? But
when he was out on an island,
anyways, yeah. Yeah, we talked about that too. I think that was another.
Yeah, that could have been another option.
That would have worked too. Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure you worked out the three back the whole week, right, against Braga. So to change the whole tactical idea would have been very, very risky, right? So if you wanted to stay with the three, the only option to come out would have been Everton or Taarabt. I wouldn't have taken PC because he was the only thing creating going forward. He would have been the only one creating going forward, and Seferovic was basically gonzo after PZ came out. There's nothing that goes to Seferovic after that.
And I mean, I get the tactical piece, but right, like Vertonghen and Otamendi have played in a back four plenty of times this season, right? So it shouldn't have been anything new. I get that there's no way that Jorge Jesus goes into a game with one tactical idea, right? We play with a back three, and that's a back three. Like, you have to have plan A, plan B.
He's had plenty of plan A's and plan B's this season.
That's the thing, right? Like, you have to be prepared for these things, and I can't imagine.
I mean, they've gone between both formations. Like, one game they'll play the back three, one game they'll play the back four. So it's not like the players there aren't used to playing with four in the back.
And Kenny, we touched on this earlier about Vertonghen. And again, I don't know if the rest of you guys noticed it, but he just looked off the pace. He looked lethargic. I think he got exposed playing as the central unit. There was a play in the first half where it was still 0-0. They got in behind. Alan Ruiz crossed it, and Otamendi came out of nowhere and poked it away, or else it would have been a tap in, right? And that's in the middle of our box, right? Like, and he's playing as the right center back, right? Like, where's our center back, right? And that was the first thing I noticed on the team sheet, is the fact that Vertonghen was playing central and not Otamendi. And I think we noticed it. I think it was clear if you were really paying attention. But does that performance, and again, it's one game, but
he missed training during the week as well.
He did.
Yeah,
but I'd be interested. I'd be interested to know and go back to see how many times he played in a back three and he played in the middle and not on the left. But I know we talked about it early in our group chat. David Luiz is a free agent. I don't think he's going to come back. If he does, he would have to take a massive salary cut. But does that performance worry you going forward, right? Like, he's not the fastest, right? So we're basically banking on him using his brain, using his awareness, positionally being spot on. But when you're playing a high line, you run the risk of that, and anything in behind, you're fucked. And I think 3 or 4 times he got exposed hard in that game. Does it worry you at all? Would you take a David Luiz over him since he's a free agent?
I mean, I'm a David Luiz fan, so I would rather have him. If I had to choose, I'd rather have him than Vertonghen. I just, after the entire season, Vertonghen didn't really do it for me all season long. Like, he didn't stand out. I mean, I don't know. He's just, for an experienced player, I don't think he was as solid as I expected him to be. So if it was a switch for a switch, I would take David Luiz. But I do think we need to get younger on the back line. I'm sure they're going to invest somehow on that. I don't know if Morato's going to stick around or not, but I mean, yeah, I would take David Luiz.
Oscar, Bill, any opinions on that?
I mean, if they're both coming, Vertonghen can't be that cheap on salary wise. I mean, he came from the Premier League as well. He's a Belgium international. He's a captain of Belgium team, so he can't be that cheap.
I'm sure he took a pay cut.
Yeah. I mean, David Luiz said he's coming home to finish his career, so he would take a pay cut. It's not like, I'll come home, but I'm going to keep the same salary.
So Vertonghen's getting just about 2 million clean after taxes.
All right, and I think if David Luiz would absolutely take that to finish his career at Benfica.
Let me see what he's making at.
Was Vertonghen a two-year contract?
I think so.
Vertonghen, yeah, it was a 2-year.
I mean, I'll be honest. Vertonghen didn't disappoint me this year. He had a game.
Yeah.
He was solid all year round. I mean, this game.
I don't think
he was coming back.
I don't think he didn't like stand out to me, but he was solid. Like if we're looking at players to get rid of, he's not.
He's not one of
my list.
I agree with that. He's not one of those guys.
I think him on the left side of that back three was. I mean, he played well. He got exposed when he played the one game in the center. Right? Yeah.
Right.
And I think having Otamendi play centrally is kind of like a security blanket type of thing where he might have cleaned up a lot of the mistakes he was making.
Question: who's the person that lead in the back line? Say that you're playing a back three. The leads the offside trap is the center guy, right? You have to follow the guy normally.
Yeah.
So in this case, the first goal was Otamendi's fault.
Because he keeps him onside.
Keeps him onside. Because Vertonghen he was in front of the defender, but Otamendi keeps him onside. So then it was too late for Vertonghen to catch up to him. And so in that case, you have to look like Otamendi had a fault right there, not a Vertonghen, because he was playing the offside trap and Otamendi didn't keep up.
So take that one out, but there was a few others that he definitely got exposed in over the top. So David Luiz he was making £5.25 million per season at Arsenal. So it's a substantial pay cut. And he's a year younger than Vertonghen. I didn't realize he's only 33. Vertonghen's 34. So
yeah, I mean, what was Vertonghen getting paid at Tottenham?
I'm sure
I would probably say close to the same.
More. Yeah,
I'd say close to the same what David Luiz was making at Arsenal.
He was making 3.1 million pounds.
Of Tottenham, and I mean, I don't see David Luiz if he comes back making more than 2.5.
Yeah,
clean. Yeah. But even that is a lot of cash.
A lot of cash for the
33-year-old.
I agree with that. But if David Luiz comes back, I don't know. We obviously have to get rid of one of the big guys. 100%.
I think Morata stays.
Yeah, if you're looking at the back three or our back line, and you're saying that Luiz is coming in, we have to get rid of one.
It'll be Vertonghen.
I think it's Vertonghen. Otamendi, you don't touch. He was essentially the heart of the team this year. He's untouchable in my opinion. And then Morato, they invested a lot of money to bring him over.
$8 million.
2 years ago or 3 years ago?
2019, $8 million from São Paulo.
He's 20, right?
Yeah, he's young.
He's 19.
19.
Yeah.
So
we paid $8 million US for a player who was on the São Paulo B team.
Yeah,
that's
a heavy investment.
25 million for a player that was in Spain second division.
Fuck, $8 million for a fucking player that was on the B team.
He's not going anywhere, and I think overall defensively we need to get younger. So I don't see them moving on from Morato.
Yeah.
I would just think Otamendi, David Luiz would be like a good duo back there. Like I think they would have better chemistry than Vertonghen. I feel like Vertonghen is like the odd man out. Probably doesn't understand anything the other guys are saying. So
that's a fair point. So could you see like a back three of Otamendi,
South American,
Otamendi,
Morata,
David Luiz, and Lucas Verissimo?
Oh yeah, Lucas Verissimo, exactly. South
But
American.
then again, we have the same issue. We'll have three righties.
No, Lucas Verissimo is lefty.
So why does he play on the right side of the defense?
Isn't he lefty? I could be wrong.
No.
I thought he was
He's
lefty.
on the right side of the defense. Righty.
If he is a lefty, he's got a really good right leg.
Yeah, because he plays on the
righty.
Vertonghen on the right, on the left, Otamendi in the middle, and Verissimo on the right. So he's a right footer.
Okay.
I think they would manage though.
Put Sideshow Ball on the left and then play
He didn't trust this against Braga because he didn't put Otamendi in the middle, not to have two lefties on the wrong side.
That's my assumption. I don't know. I don't understand why you would change it. But
maybe he wanted Otamendi to cover the wing a little bit fat, because they have Galinu coming in on that side,
Fair.
to cover the wings quicker. I don't know.
It's a valid point.
But the thing is, that's what pisses me off about Jesus. And that's another point that I can bring up. He did the same thing with David Luiz when he got smashed 5-0. He put David Luiz on the left side to cover Hulk, right?
But that's more of like an invention than this one.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's an invention that he just changed Otamendi from his position to the right side, so he's not the main defender anymore. When Otamendi has been our best defender, main defender, and the captain in the back, and he puts him on the right side to cover for what?
But then also think about, like, of those players in the back, who is going to be more comfortable out of position, right? You got a 19-year-old who's in the second game. Vertonghen, he's going to be more comfortable in a central role or out left. But Otamendi, of all the players who you're going to put out of position, it would be Otamendi.
So right now, instead of having one person uncomfortable in the position, we'll have three.
How?
Because
Morata's playing in a left
Morata's
position.
playing on left side. He's going to be uncomfortable anyways because he really didn't play the whole season. He's playing on a cup final. Okay, he's 19 years old. All right, he's going to be uncomfortable anyways. And then you have Vertonghen who plays in the left, playing in the middle, uncomfortable position.
Yeah, but he played as a center back and he played in the middle.
I'm talking about the whole season. I'm talking about this whole season. Yeah. And Tottenham, he played in Belgium. I don't give a shit. And this whole season, he plays on the left side.
But there's no reason why he should be uncomfortable. He's a fucking experienced guy, 34 years old, captain of the Belgian national team. He played in the back three at Spuds.
But instead of making one change, you made three right there.
I know, but would you have rather have had...
I'd rather had Vertonghen on the left, Morata on the right for Verissimo, covering what Verissimo was, and Otamendi in the middle.
I think that's risky. Now you're really putting pressure on the young kid. Left-footed, on the right side.
Oh, so the kid that we paid $8 million for him, he can't use his left foot or right foot?
I'm not.
Can you use your left?
Dude, I don't cost $20. I don't know. $8 million.
You're undervaluing yourself, Oscar. You're worth $20.
But that's these guys are professionals. I mean, if they don't practice shooting with both
I get that.
Like if you see a goalie, you see a goalie, I'm pretty sure all of them, even though they're righty or lefty, they kick the ball up the field with both feet. Right?
That's a good transition. What about the goalies?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah.
Let's talk about the goalies. Wait, I mean, I don't. Vlaco had one.
Hold on, but what if we said all season long that is Vlaco Dimos's biggest weakness? Coming out of goal,
right?
And he fucked himself over again. I think he's better in between the sticks, but I think Elton Leith is better coming out. And I know you're going to say what happened on the goal that he got a red card.
They're both out of position. Yeah, both of them are out of position.
But Odysseus makes an absolute disaster. Like he has no business coming out there, and then he got caught halfway, and it was. Just
I think he was coming out to offer like as a back pass, and
then he fucked himself over.
Yeah, that's because Vertonghen couldn't.
He was coming out to clear that. He was coming out to go to the ball, and then realized that. That Vertonghen got there and he tried to back that.
Right, and late when he got the red card, he's at the top of the box, and he'd react slowly too, and he gets caught out of position and has to foul him there. So I mean, they're both out of position.
No. Wait, but what about Vlaco, dude? I mean, I blame Vlaco for coming out like that, but Vertonghen's clear was horrible. He just gave it to the forward to chip it. Like Vertonghen's clearance was absolutely a whiff. If any solid defender there would have booted that ball up because he was on to it first and he whiffed it to the striker. All he had to do is put it over the top and it's a goal.
What would Otamendi do if he was there?
Otamendi probably would have beat up the striker and the defender. Well, they've done it. Otamendi did it in the past with the Vlaco too. So it's not like against Braga.
Yeah.
So it's not like it wouldn't happen with Otamendi.
Yeah, it was just a fucking comedy.
Mental mistakes with the goalies.
What did Vlaco do after that? Other than
he had some big saves
in the game, keep us in the game.
But again, that was in between the sticks, right? He didn't have to come out and do anything. Like he's very good. His reactions are very good. He's very good in the net. But if he has to come out for a cross, a ball in the air, if he has to come out of the box, he's super uncomfortable and is very uncertain of what he should do. Should I come? Should I go? Like that goal. Right, like if you're gonna come, you got to come. Like come all the way out, right? Instead, he came halfway and then realized, like, fuck, okay, like I must time that. But like, why does he even come out? Like I don't think he have like Vertonghen's there. I don't even know why he comes out of the goal. Like it's not like the ball gets played over him.
Yeah, mental mistake. I mean,
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Oscar and I watched the second half, and Oscar noticed at the end of the game, I think Jesus walked by
with his hand up,
with his hand up to give him like a 5, and
Vlaco just walked by him.
So he just touched
and he just touched his stomach. Like, really? Just his stomach. Like,
and then Oscar was like, if I was Vlaco, I would have told him to fuck off and I wouldn't come in.
Nice.
I would have. If I was Vlaco, I would have pulled the Cardozo on Jesus in this game.
That's the last thing we needed after everything else.
Well, did you see what happened? There was already a brawl going on. Why not? I was just throwing a cheap shot at Jesus and pretend I missed.
Before we go to before we go to the MVP, what did you guys think of that red card? Oh, the Tarat play.
Tarat, I would have suspended. Benfica should have suspended him. He got fouled. Why did he get up and go push the guy in the face?
Yeah, we just got.
Yeah, there was no. There was no need for him to get up.
Not like that guy did anything wrong. First of all, the red card.
Well, the guy did. I don't know if you guys saw the replay.
Right, the red card to the Braga player is beyond ridiculous.
Correct.
The guy
Yes.
But I don't know if you guys noticed, but Piazon kicks the ball at Tarat's face when he's on the floor. That's why he was mad. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Did you notice that?
I didn't.
Right.
I didn't notice.
I'm gonna show you quickly because I have it, and then I'll just clip the video out when YouTube decides that they're gonna yell at me for copyright infringement.
Yeah, fuck you, YouTube.
Yeah, seriously, share screen. I'm gonna show you guys this. I just have to remember how far in are we? 33 minutes. So if you watch here, right there, that's why he gets mad.
Yeah, I didn't see a kick to the where I see it.
No, I did. Right? Yeah.
He kicks the ball at his face. Watch when he's down, foul, kicks it.
I need to see the better image.
In closer. I mean
that's hard to see. Yeah, that's
the guy raises a flag after like the ball's already out of bounds. It's not like he raised a flag for a foul before.
Right.
But Eduardo coming in, there's another keeper coming in like an asshole.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And he's just like chest bumps him. Yeah.
That should be like major
guy.
suspension.
Oh, here we go. Is a clean right there when he kicks it. The ref already had blown the whistle.
Huh.
But again, you can't react like that. I mean, I get it's a final. He's annoyed. He's frustrated. It's the end of the game. But then this guy, like, if he doesn't get suspended for a long time.
Wait, what's Eduardo's position anyway? Is he like that?
I think he's a goalkeeper
Probably
coach.
Like goalkeeper's coach, yeah.
Yeah. But like he doesn't get. But the whole game he was like bitching and moaning. They were talking about it on the radio as well. But like you can't just do that, right? There has to be some sort of suspension. So I thought it was just a comedy of fucking nightmare.
That guy's pretty good too. That Piazon guy is pretty good.
It's a Chelsea dude. Is he still Chelsea's player? I think he is on loan.
I think so.
MVP, if there is one. Oscar, I'll start with you.
Oh boy.
VAR.
VAR.
Dude, I there's no. I mean, I would say if you take out the part where Vlaco comes out the first goal. After that, it's Vlaco because he saved. He had probably 3 or 4 saves that are ridiculously good.
Yeah, I'd say Vlaco Dimos as well. Kenny,
I don't know, man. This one is like I don't know who the hell stood out. Maybe Weigl again. I thought. I mean, kind of controlled the midfield a little bit.
Transfer goal point gave him 5.5. He was the best one. Vlaco Dimos got a 5.3. He was the best one with a 5.5.
Weigl was?
Yep.
Yeah, Weigl was solid. I mean, if he had scored that goal right before half and we didn't concede, it could have been a different game, maybe, possibly. That chance that we had is probably the only chance we had, and we could have maybe defended the whole second half and got away with something.
Bill?
Yeah, I would have to, like Oscar said, taking that stupid mistake from Modi. Outside of that, I think he made big saves to keep us in the game. And Weigl, I mean, same as always, right? He's probably the first one on the team sheet and the only one Jesus probably truly trusts in that middle. So I would say one of them too, but overall, I don't think we deserve to have an MVP.
Yeah, I agree.
Quickly before we go to the next topic, I saw a rumor today about an hour ago. I don't know how true it is, but again, it's off season, so there's a lot of garbage news going to be out there. But I saw that JJ has asked for Benfica to shop Weigl around for 30 to 40 million because he's not the number 6 that he wants in this team. I don't know how true that is, but
he probably wants to go get a Brazilian guy that will play 2 minutes a game for 30 million.
I saw that Chelsea had looked at where it was interested in Weigl.
Dave says Piazon signed for free in January. Thoughts on Al-Musrati? I mean, I think we're all in agreement that he's the player that Benfica could use in that midfield. We talked about him last week, but unfortunate that he got hurt in the game. But I think he's the mold of what we need in that midfield for some steel, some energy, an engine that we've been lacking for quite some time. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting offers this offseason for that guy, whether it's in Portugal or overseas. I'm sure someone's going to come knocking for him.
He's a confident player. Like Oscar and I were talking about it. Like he reminds me of Danilo. Like he's just a confident player on the ball and distributing and everything. So I would love him on Benfica.
Yeah, and he works a lot on and off the ball, which is impressive. And he's still young. I think he's 24. So there's a lot of margin for growth. 25. Yeah, so still a lot of potential for growth there. Next topic here, season review. What are our highs? What are our lows? Bill, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts if you had to sum up the season? How would you put it in terms of how you thought it was going to pan out at the beginning, how it played out, and then how it ended, and then what would you say is your highlight of the season?
Did we have a high? the 5 wins at the beginning, maybe.
Okay.
I think, like everyone, expectations were high, right? We came into the season, brought back Jesus, right? Some people didn't want him back. Some people wanted him back. But he knew the league. He knew the team. He pretty much had an open checkbook in terms of being able to sign like transfers, right? He spent 100 mil or something like that, right? I think overall it was, as Oscar said, it was a horrible season, and I agree. I think I said last week that even if they had won the Taça, it wouldn't save the season. It was still a disappointing season for what they spent and the expectations on the squad. It was frustrating. To be honest, I don't think there was. I can't think of a high. Maybe the Sporting game, but again, there was nothing there. Like it was essentially a meaningless game. Outside of that, I don't think we had any true highs. Like we had some good performances back to back, but then always those good performances will always be followed by a horrible loss and kind of any hope of getting back into the title race kind of being killed off. Okay.
Dave quickly says, would Benfica move Ramos, the young striker, for him being Al-Musrati? Absolutely. If Braga said,
I would
give us 10 million and Gonçalo Ramos, 1,000%.
I'll drive him from Lisboa to Braga.
Seriously. Oscar, you thinking, would you do it?
No, I'll sell a 10 million plus Seferovic and get Musrati.
You'd have to get them drunk to get to that deal. So Bill,
Oscar would throw in JJ too.
Oh, and JJ can go for free. I don't.
We'll pay you to take him.
Baggage.
So just to recap, Bill, what was your highlight? The 5 wins at the beginning?
dude, it's tough to think of like an actual high point in the season, like where you felt.
It could be anything in the season. It could be a player, could be a moment, could be a decision. What was your highlight?
If we're going player, I would say I would go with Feigl, right? I liked the signing last year, and there was glimpses of what like the potential he had last year, and I think a lot of the rumors could have been true toward the end of the season. I hated seeing that, right? Like a club brings in a player, there's no reason the players that are currently on the roster should be mad that the club went out and spent 20-something million on a player. That should be like a good thing, right? Your club is investing in the team. They believe in you. So they're spending the money to bring in a player that can help. And I think seeing him come in this season, struggle a little bit, but then really take hold of that spot. And I think for the majority of the season, he was our best player, our most consistent player, and a player you can count on every week to come in and put in his work. I mean, the old saying, like the Germans, like he is the prototypical German player where like he's not flashy, but he's going to go in, he's going to do the dirty work, and he's going to put in a solid performance every week.
I just lost my train of thought. I was going to ask a question and then I forgot what I was going to ask. Oscar, what would be your review of the season? And I remember what I was going to ask. Sorry, hold on. Bill, in 10 or less words, 10 or less, who is at fault or what is at fault for the way this season panned out? I don't want a speech. I don't want a novel. I want 10 or less words.
Oscar's got one word.
I know. It might be two. Who is the most at fault for what happened this year?
I have to go with JJ.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The club's giving him.
I said 10 or less words. We'll get to that. That counts as you still only said 10. Bye, caralho, for this. And JJ, that's less than 10 words. Good.
There you go.
Oscar, before I go to you, I want to bring up a quote here from Luis Vieira in 2019. For those of you watch or listening after the fact, in an interview to Benfica TV in 2019, September, estivesse aqui demagogo qualquer, o que queria era investir para apresentar uma super equipa, mas imaginem que aquilo não corria bem, a queda era grande.
That's what happened this year.
Okay, so this guy in 2019, so he came in and said, imagine somebody replaced me, right, and wants to show up and basically prove a point, comes in and drops a ton of cash and creates a super team, and that doesn't go well. The fall from that and the impact from that is going to be massive. Mm-hmm. And this same guy who didn't want someone else to take his seat and do that did exactly what he said someone else would do. Thoughts on that?
Well, Vieira, there's one thing, and I said it from the beginning, from day one. Vieira was a president, that wasn't basically going along with the academia, right? He wanted to invest in the academia, not buy these big players. After a few seasons, after Jesus left, that's what the plan was. Vitória started it, Lage continued it into getting some young players out and whatnot, right? And then when Lage's last year is when the whole plan fell apart when we lost the Campeonato. We're in the lead and we lost it to legit second half of the season. We went to shambles, right? And the fans, the sócios asked for this. Okay, the sócios asked for this, and it was an election year, so it's either I stick to my guns, which you should have, all right, and I continue the plan of the academia and the getting the young players out and just invest here and there, just filling the spots. You know what I mean? That's what he should have done. He listened to the sócios saying we sold João Felix for 126 million. What are you doing with that money? What are you doing with that money? Why don't you get somebody? Why don't you get invested in the big players? There was riots of people asking for him to go and spend money, right? So election year, he goes and spends money. because he wants to get reelected. All right. He got the guarantees, almost guaranteeing a campeonato. All right. I don't think his words were anything less than, I'm bringing Jorge Jesus back, investing $100 million to guarantee we win the campeonato and go far in champions. All right. And that is a big fail. That's a horrible season for me, is when he basically invested all this money, brought it back a coach that almost guaranteed a campeonato. He went to Brazil the first year, won the Brazilian campeonato and what do you call the Brazilian cup? The cup that Libertadores. So it's a coach that like brings guarantees, right? And that completely went to shambles. It failed completely. So now he should have been like, he should have came up and goes, hey guys, I failed. You know why? Because I listened to you guys. I listened to the socios, and I should have.
But do you not think it's a bit contradictive of him to basically say, don't replace me because all these people just want my spot and want to spend money, and it's going to be a nightmare. And then he basically did the same thing.
Tell me when was that? When was that?
Exactly. That's when he was pushing the whole academy.
Wait, 2019 when we were winning with Lage, right?
Yep.
So we had just won the season with Lage.
Yeah, and then we the first half of that season we would continue winning. We lost one game, and then the second half of that season, right before COVID hit, is when we completely went to shambles.
Yeah.
Right. So he was his plan before the whole COVID happened, or before the season. It was academia. Right. That's what he's been preaching for the last 10 years is academia. Right. And then when it failed, when the academia, we had the second half of the season that was completely bad, is when he listened to the sausages, and the sausages started asking for answers, because the money he made with João Felix and the money he made with this guy and the money he made with that guy, why aren't you investing on top players? And he did. That's his mistake.
Fair. I think there's definitely some contradiction there. And just quickly on the academia, just to touch on it quickly, he a few years ago said that the spine of the Portuguese national team would be from the Seychelles. He said a few years ago.
It is.
And that's what I was just going to say. So we got 5 or 6 players from the Seychelles that are in there in the 100%. National team.
And it could be more. I mean, if there's some backups to those that are from the Seychelles, like Ruben Semedo and all that, they're backup to João Cancelo, but he's from the Seychelles too.
So we got, let's see, João Cancelo was there, Nelson Semedo,
Ruben Dias,
Renato Sanchez, Bernardo Silva.
Yep. Yeah, so we got like Gonçalo Guedes, Felix. Yeah, so there's like 7, 8 players there, which I thought was interesting.
So he should like this. Then Rui Costa was in the same plan as him. They had a second half bad second half of that season. They should have like filled in a few spots. I don't understand why they go and get old fucks like this. That's what we used to do in the past when we used to go get the volley donks and the guys finishing their careers and all the bullshit to come to Benfica because they had a name. Now we go get Otamendi's and Vertonghen's and a bunch of aleijados that don't know how to play soccer, like Darwins and all that bullshit. So
easy.
So you have like this season was completely like, I don't understand. It completely changed from where he was going to this. And my dad actually said, I don't want him to hear me because I've been he then if I give him props, then he just fires up. So he's been saying Jesus coming back will bring Benfica back to the ruins, and it's panning out.
Okay, let's see how that goes. What would be what's your recap of the season?
My recap of the season?
Yep.
I think I've said it like the last three podcasts. Horrible season. I don't think even the cup would have saved it. With the investment we did, we should have been champions, easily champions. All right, and made it far in Europe.
What would your highlight?
That nobody died from COVID.
This fucking guy. in 10 or less words, what was?
Vai pro caralho.
Kenny, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say with the kids again. So I know we had a good run with the Seychelles, but like let's take a look at the most recent academy players that, I mean, they just haven't panned out. Jedson, Florentino,
Luis.
that's it. Yeah. Nuno Tavares. I don't know if it's brother, cousin, the other Tavares with the other hair.
Tomas Tavares, no.
Yeah.
David Tavares.
So David
There's three of
Tavares,
them,
like they're just, these guys have not panned out. So we got into it. Like Spartan's gone through it too. Spartan used to have the greatest players, young kids, and then they went on a route. So like it's tough to commit to the academy when you did commit to them, and these players came along and they're just not hitting. So like you have to refresh the team somehow. You can't just keep committing to the kids.
Agree. I
So
agree.
I agree with the strategy of sprinkling them in here and there, but when you just throw them all out at the same time, like we did at the end of last year, and then you finish the season the way we did, like that had a lot to do with the kids from the academy last year. So,
Correct.
I mean, I don't blame them for making the investment, especially because I feel like we can make the investment. But
But not on 36-year-old.
But if you were to ask me, the major mistake this year was not that I'm fine with what they spent. I don't give a shit what they spend. If they want to spend 100 million, 150 million, if they can do it, that's on them. I'm not the president. I'm not in control of the money. I trust that who's there is doing the right things. I just don't agree with a lot of. I think we should have spent more money in the midfield and on defense from the very beginning of the season. We did in the middle of the season. We got Lucas Verissimo on defense, which we needed. We were struggling on defense. That was a big mistake in not, I mean, I guess we did, right? We got Vertonghen and we got Otamendi, but it still wasn't a solid defense. So we invested there in the second half of the season, and it paid out. I think our defense is a lot more solid than at the start of the year. But the midfield was a huge weakness from the beginning till right now. And I think that instead of getting the Evertons, I would have spent some money in the midfield, and we didn't make one big signing at all in the midfield. And I think that's the big hole that we need to fill next year. But I mean, yeah, Abilio and Oscar, you guys touched it. I mean, my expectations was to win everything. I mean, I always think we're going to win everything. I think we should have, I was expecting getting into Champions League. That didn't happen. I expected to at least, put on a showing in Europa League. We really didn't do that. We didn't win the league. We didn't come home with any hardware. So I agree. It was a disastrous season this year. And it's unfortunate. But if I had to say the bright spot, to look at positives, I think I'm holding on to the potential of Everton and Darwin to hopefully pan out next year. I am hoping that another year with Jesus, working the team that he wants to work, it will get there next year. We already kind of saw that in the second half of this season. They improved from the first half to the second half. The numbers don't lie; they're there. So, and I do think we actually played not great, but better in the second half of the season. And so yeah, so I think those are some positives to hold out for next year. And then I don't know what else. What was the other thing you asked?
In 10 or less words, who's the main reason for this season?
Uchinez.
I'm gonna say the just the overall shortened, condensed season. No fans, none of that stuff. I'm not gonna put the blame on Jesus. I'm not gonna put the blame on the president. I'm gonna say that it was just an odd season, an odd year.
My highlight is Otamendi. I think we got a player that could be the spine of the team for the next few years at least. My reason or my fault, my max fault for this, I have to go with the president. As much as you guys think it's not the case. And that was so. My answer is the president. That's my less than 10 words, and my justification here is.
I didn't get justification.
I said I would come back to it. Wait your turn, damn it. My justification for it is that I don't know if you guys have watched Benfica FM, the podcast, but it's in Portuguese, and they have a pretty good program. But they were talking about it on the show on Monday as well. But in a situation, right, like all the situations that have come out this year and the things that have happened with the referees and the newspapers and all that other bullshit, the club has been very hesitant or hasn't come out at all to defend the club, right? We haven't had any press conferences from the president, from Rui Costa, we just hired a new diretor de comunicação in January, the guy that was a news anchor, I think it was on TVI or SIC. I think we've seen him twice. He did an interview of Luis Vieira on Benfica TV, and he did an interview of Rui Costa on Benfica TV. Apart from that, we haven't seen that guy at all, right? So what's he doing, right? These guys are the ones that are supposed to protect the club, that are supposed to defend the club. But when something comes out in the newspapers, right, that the government is investigating Luis Vieira because of his business deals and all this shit, like they're out very quick, right? It's not true. The president this, the president that, blah, blah, blah. The president's cooperate, right? But when it comes to defending the club as a whole, and when it comes to the sports, like we're just very hesitant to come out on it. And I feel like because of that, right? Benfica TV doesn't have debates. Benfica TV doesn't cover I don't want to say riots, but the protests from the fans, right? Against what's going on, right? They don't cover any of that. The Benfica TV is Benfica's channel. It's not Luis Vieira's channel, right? And I get they need to do their job to protect the club and who's there at the moment. But I feel like he's just created this environment around the club that it's like, defend me, protect me, and I will basically call the shots and what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. And for me, like, I just think that he's the max at fault for everything else. And I think it starts at the top and it trickles down. And in reality, and Oscar, you can hate him as much as you want, but there has been no one this year that has defended Benfica more than than Jorge Jesus. He's the only one that defends them. When he got mad in the press conference about COVID and all that other bullshit that Kenny always talks about, when they ask him continuous questions about, is he going to leave? Who's the reason for this? Blah, blah, blah. He's the only one, again, yesterday with the referees. This happens a lot. VAR didn't call it back. Do we hear our president or Rui Costa or anyone talk about what's going on? No, you don't hear it. So props to him for being the only one. He's basically our manager and our director de comunicação.
But you don't know. But the thing is, you don't know what goes behind this. Like Jesus, I think coming in probably want to control all of that.
I can't imagine that Benfica hires. So Jesus wants control over all that communication, but we're going to go hire the diretor de comunicação in January, midway through the season.
That's to deal with the jornais. This guy is like with the press conferences and stuff like that. He's the one who's supposed to be like, leave the team to me. I'll control the team when what happens to the team. Yeah, I agree. Vieira should have came out and bitch, like just like Pinto Costa does and Varandas does when it doesn't go his way, right? But Jesus, Vieira did it in the past. And
he did in the past, correct, and he hasn't done it this year.
And the only difference is Jesus in.
Like they say in Portuguese, quem não mama or quem não chora não mama.
Pois.
Right? That's the problem. Bill, do you want your 2-minute justification? Não quero que chores depois tens de mamar.
I don't need 2 minutes. I don't need 2 minutes. The way I look at it is the club invested in the team, right? They brought in players, they spent the cash. At the end of the day, who's the one that is with the team every day, training them? He's the one that sets up the team for the games. He's the one that who doesn't play the formation. At the end of the day, if the season doesn't go in the way you want it, you have to look at the manager, right? They're the ones that set the team up. Like to start the season, granted, like Kenny mentioned, it was a condensed season, no off season. Like it was very different than normal, but the first 2 months, that midfield was the freaking revolving door. It was just One game it was one set of players, one game it was another set. Like, he did not settle on a duo in the midfield, and I think that hurt. I think
They all
having
suck.
all those switches, right? But like, just settle on one. They suck. Like, just every game swapping out and putting two new pairs in there doesn't help. Like, it doesn't make them suck any less. Like,
If he had a legit offseason, he probably would have figured that out beforehand.
Fair.
right? But
I feel
He
like
didn't.
the first 3 months of the
Exactly.
season were his preseason.
no one did. I mean, all the teams had the same issue, and
But
you look
True,
at
but
you, have
JJ
to
was a
say,
new,
you look at
correct.
JJ was a new coach coming in.
Exactly. Ruben was with his team already. He had the core of his team, and Sergio Conceição had been with his team for 3 years, right? So it wasn't anything new to him, right?
But Jesus went to Flamengo, brought in his players, and he won everything. So there's he's new, but he can do that, right? But when it comes to Benfica, that he's a house that he's been for 4 or 5 years prior to arriving. Before, he's been here. He knows and he knows some of the players. Some of the players played with him already. PZ was there when he was there. Some of the players were already there, right? So Jesus came in, asked for the players that he wanted. The only player that stood out this season, Otamendi, he didn't even ask for. Okay, there's one player that we all talked about, and he didn't even ask for. He didn't even want him at the beginning, and that's the only player that we all here agree that stood out and was one of the best, like the surprise of the season. Okay, that's the player he didn't ask for. All the 100 million they invested, most of them he invested. He asked for them. Most, I'm not saying all. Most. So
Lucas
if it fails,
Lucas
it's on him.
Veríssimo looks. That was a good pickup, and that was just
Yeah,
his guy.
the season was over and Lucas Veríssimo came. Almost.
Yeah, end of January.
Yeah,
beginning of
so
February.
But Jesus wanted him from the beginning, but he couldn't get him, so he settled on Otamendi.
I get it. He couldn't get him. So but you think Veríssimo being here for the whole season would have stopped us from losing this campeonato? Because this campeonato was we didn't. He couldn't figure out, like Abilio said, he couldn't figure out midfield, and midfield was.
I know, but wasn't Tarat there when Jesus was still there? Tarat's never been a Jesus.
He was in the B team.
He was. Jesus, I think
he never liked Tarat. Gabriel sucks.
He starts in every game.
But didn't Jesus want to bring in another midfielder, and you couldn't bring one in?
We got Weigl. Weigl's not Jesus, but Weigl's,
yeah, but we were playing with Tarat and Gabriel at the beginning of the season. Why didn't start the season? It was Tarat and Gabriel. They suck.
Because Jesus didn't start Weigl, not because he couldn't.
I don't know. What was Weigl? Was Weigl? I thought there was like an injury thing with him at the beginning of the season.
No, it wasn't an injury. Jesus didn't figure it out until January, until after the COVID. That's when he figured out the midfield.
Again, I still think that the beginning of the season, just like that first month was like he was trying to still figure out his team, and unfortunately, he didn't have a full. He might have had a small offseason, but he didn't have a full offseason. Especially with all the limitations with practices, and you got to practice with these sets of guys first, and then like there was a lot of wild card things that happened that, and I get it, everyone had to do it, but still, like he was new to the team.
No, let's get money on the table right now. We spent money on Gilberto, lost the spot.
I agree with that one.
Terrible.
Okay,
I agree
we spent money on everything.
That's a miss.
Barely played until the last 3 games. Okay, we spent money on Luka, flop.
Everton still put up stats, dude. Like I understand he didn't play to the expectations, but he still.
You 3 weeks ago you said he was the biggest disappointment of the season for you. 3 weeks ago, before we started playing. No. He wasn't to my expectation. What I expected of him, he was a disappointment, and he didn't play up the entire season. But you see the potential that he has. Yes, I said
the potential that he has.
Yes, the if factor. I said it from the beginning, but you said he was a flop.
Okay, so
you said he was a flop. We can go back in the pod. We can go back in the pod. Can you guys?
I don't think I said he was a flop. I just think I meant if I said that, then I take it back. But no, I don't think I said that. First of all, bring it to the. If you want to say that, then bring it to here. Say
I will.
I called him a flop.
I
said. He wasn't playing up to expectations, but I still hope he was going to pan out, and I think he's going to be a hit. Just like I think Darwin's going to still be a hit, but I don't think Darwin played to his potential.
Jesus came to go far. That's what they preach to the fans and to the socios. Jesus comes to win and to go far in Europe. If he comes to win and invest $100 million, is for players that to win, not to in 3 years you're going to pin out. It's to win. Of course. He brought a Brazilian international player, which is Everton. He plays for the Brazilian national team, and he was legit like one of the best players in Brazil to start, not to sit on the bench and be pinned out next year. Okay. He bought Luka from Germany, which is a player to start, not to sit on the bench and pin out next year. Gilberto was to be a starter, not to be the
I don't know if Luka was his guy. I don't think Luka was Jesus' guy. I don't think Luka was Jesus' pick. They already were scouting him.
Yeah, but Jesus had to approve it because he came before he got bought. I mean, I don't know the background to that, but Jesus had to purchases. But all I'm saying is Jesus'
first pick was like the Brazilians, the Jersons that didn't come, all those guys. Like Luka was not on his radar.
Okay, but we're talking about $100 million we spent. I know we sold players, and that's players that Jesus didn't want. Okay. We got rid of. So you're talking about players he got in and players he got out. Jesus had to control the whole thing. He was bought from Flamengo, and after Flamengo, he was probably in every single decision Benfica took. Okay, it would be a thing. Hey, Jesus, come in August, and the team is going to be made for you. No, I think Jesus had to be part of that planning from when he left Flamengo until the start of the season in August or September in this case. All right. So we're saying he had no say in Luka. Very doubtful. I think he had a say in Luka.
I'm sure he had to say, yes, I'll take him, but it was not his. It wasn't his pick. It wasn't his. He didn't scout that player. It was a player that was already scouted by Benfica, and he's like, sure, I'll take him. Like, I need someone there. I'll take him.
Benfica probably scouts 100 players a year, but the coach ends up picking who he wants.
They were also supposed to get the other center back from Freiburg as well. They were supposed to get both of them, Luka and Koch. Don't laugh. But Koch from he ended up going to Leeds.
Yeah, we had a bug on this.
But I'm not done yet. Then we have Pedrinho. I don't know if Jesus had anything to do with Pedrinho. I don't know.
He was last year. Pedrinho was last year.
Yeah, he came last year.
Okay.
They bought him last year. He came this year, but they bought him last year.
Yeah, he hadn't played in 6 months.
But that's what Jesus said that he didn't know him, but he's a superstar. He's got feet of gold and he blah 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 blah.
After when he was interviewed last year, he said, "No Brasil há muitos Pedrinhos."
Right, but then this year he goes, "I didn't know Pedrinho really well." But
he
now
didn't say that.
But of course he has to say that. He's going to coach him now.
Right. But what I'm saying is,
he also said Nuno Tavares was going to be the starter on the national team.
Well, that shows how much he knows.
Of course he has to say that. He's coach. Yeah, dude. He's not going to say it doesn't make any sense for him to talk shit about his players that he's got to coach. Of course he's
Nuno Tavares com caralho é aleijado, mas só é o único que tenho, I gotta play him. That's not going to motivate the kid.
But he doesn't hold back on it when it comes to Vlaco coming out on a bad say either.
It's true. He picks
it's not his player now.
Mourinho's the same way, and everyone loves him.
It's either apples or oranges. It can be both.
Sometimes he wants bananas, dude.
So with Tavares, he's going to be a world-star player, even though when he sucked, right? He's going to be our future. And then Vlaco comes out in the back call, and he basically puts him down. And go, uma saída errada nós corredores de tudo para água abaixo. That's.
I just want to correct you. You said Nuno Tavares sucked with a D. He sucks with an S. Present, still currently sucks.
Well, he didn't start much lately, but
he didn't suck before. He still sucks.
So there's a lot of what my point is. There's a lot of money invested that Jesus approves that are sitting on the bench or sit on the bench most of the season, and I know it takes time to adapt, but you can't invest all this money to sit on the bench and then have the players that basically you kept from last year carrying your team forward. You can't. And the only player like you said that you didn't even want is the one that's superstar this year, Otamendi.
Look, I agree with that, but I still believe that there was poor planning to the beginning of the season, and it just didn't work out the way they expected it. I know, you spend the money, you got to do good. They got to play right away. They got to do good right away. They got to start, and it didn't happen. But I also think that it was just poor planning from the very beginning of the season. Yeah, they just thought that they could just throw money at it and it would fix itself, and it didn't. And they spent the money in my opinion, in wrong positions, and they didn't realize that, the limitations they had with practices, the limitations they had with the games, they didn't take that into the whole picture, and it bit them in the ass. And it bit them in the ass from the very beginning of the season to the point where it was a little too late, in January when the season got really difficult for us, and we lost 3-4 games and pretty much lost the league there. And we couldn't, we put in a better performance the second half of the season, but it was just a little too late. And, maybe if we had kept it tight, and if Seth maybe put in a couple of goals that he freaking missed, those ties turn into wins, and there you go. You got, 3-4 more points and you're back in it. So, it is what it is. Like, you can look at it both ways, but at the end of the day, I agree with you, Oscar. You spent the money. The expectations were there. You failed. It's it's their fault. But they're obviously going to look at it in a different way, and I can see that side of it. I can see the argument that they could put together.
Now, my biggest concern is, like, you see, like, when Man City started throwing money at players and getting millions and millions in there, right? And it didn't pan out the first year, second year, third year, because obviously it took time to get all those players to mash up, right? But the thing is, they held on to those players. We get a bunch of values that probably last an year or two, right? And then there's money wasted. Money wasted that, like, now if we hold Everton and Darwin and Luca and Pedrinho for 4 or 5 years, and maybe in those 4 or 5 years they'll give us they'll be our superstars, but we're not gonna be able to hold those players. So it's like, if we waste this kind of money, it's to win now, not to win in 5 years, because we're not gonna have those players in 5 years. Our business is to get it in and out.
Valid point.
Well, you said old players. We only have.
But the back line is all old players.
Yeah, but we didn't.
We only have 8 players that are 30 or older.
Yeah, and that's mostly the back line. Has to be right. Like
Alton
Jardel is there, like Vertonghen,
Alton Late, Andrea Almeida, Samaris, Pizzi, Tarat, Otamendi, Vertonghen, and Jardel.
Yeah, that's a lot of the back line, and that's a lot of.
Jardel's gone.
Jardel's gone. Samaris, unfortunately, is probably gone. Andrea Almeida will be a backup, and Alton Late's a goalie. But everyone else is 29.
Oh,
And Otamendi was part of the Ruben deal, and Vertonghen was
and that after that deal, if we pay up or he's gone. So like there's a lot of money that we invested to win now, not to win in 3 years.
To close off this topic, Kenny, I'll go with you this time. What is your low moment of the season? 30 seconds.
Lowest moment of the season,
or your low light?
Probably my lowest was personally the Pizzi goal that got cut back against Porto by VAR.
That was rough.
That was a big, because I was so high. I was like fucking like crazy. I did not.
It was
think
the
that
Cancun air or the DR air.
Just like I thought we were back in it. I thought we were like,
oh, we got to guess the peer. We got to guess the
yeah, that was.
Oh boy,
Pitoro's in the house.
Hey,
there he is.
Ask him what his high and low was. And the Capitoro.
Oscar, what was your low?
Você teve que fazer todos. Arranjai cada um aí $1 milhão de dólares e mandai matar, mas este filho da puta deste Jesus.
I told you it's worse than I am.
Tem razão, guys. Tem razão.
An hour and 15 minutes. Clip that out.
Yeah,
hour 15. You gotta
minutes.
clip that out.
You gotta clip
so Pitoro doesn't get a
that might go viral. That might go viral.
That's gonna go into the the highlight video.
Oh, that's great.
Oscar, now that we got your dad's low light, what's yours?
Well, now I'm not gonna say his.
He said if we each get $1 million, so it's got a $3 million bounty on him.
No. We I think First of all, the investment was my low for the season because I think it was just bad investment. I think we should have invested smarter, especially in this COVID year. We should have invested a lot smarter than we did. But besides that, I'm going to say the month of January was our low.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with what Kenny and Oscar said, but to go with just something different, just looking at the results over here, and I think that Gil Vicente loss was like a dagger in the heart. Right, we had come off of 6 straight wins in the league, and it looked like things had turned, and we might potentially get back into the title race. And I think that game pretty much kind of put a nail in the coffin, right? To lose to Gil Vicente, I think after that loss, I would be fair to say that the majority of Benfiquistas had conceded the title at that point.
My low is a bad night in Greece. Not making it into the Champions League, I think, was the biggest result that impacted so much in what happened after that. I think just decisions were made because of that. Financially, there were, we had to make decisions that maybe we wouldn't have wanted to make. Who knows? If Ruben Diaz stays, things may have been different. I don't know. But I think us not making it into the Champions League was psychologically a blow, not just to JJ, but to the players, I would say as well. Right?
I have a question for you, Mike, on this one. What's your opinion? Right now, if you asked, if you were Ruben Diaz, are you glad we lost in Greece?
For him, he wouldn't admit it, but he would absolutely
100%.
Correct. The way that his year panned out, right? Voted best player in the Premier League, like he fucking crushed it.
Champions League final, won the PL, and then he goes to Celestino as like our main guy.
Correct. Yeah, he wouldn't admit it, but deep down he knows that like that defeat is basically what paved the road to who knows where the hell he's going to go next. But like he's captain of Manchester City in the next year or two. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it crazy? No, well, so I had two things. So on that note, right? Isn't it crazy to think like if he had stayed at Benfica, he probably would have had just like another mediocre year, like, and you would have never seen his full potential. But when you like, as him going to City and like just fucking flourishing over there, like that's just crazy. I agree with you guys. Like he would never admit it, but like that was the greatest thing that could have happened to him. But I was just gonna say another honorable mention as a low light to the season. Like I hope that in the rest of my lifetime, I never have to go through a season without fans in a stadium like that. This entire year, the past year, with no fans in stadiums. Now you're starting to see it here in the States. Like this past the past golf tournament that just happened, like with the fans out there and like the stadiums here.
Oh, you're gonna see it in Portugal too, with like Champions League on Saturday. Don't worry, it's UEFA. They get fans.
I am so glad. I hope I never have to go through watching sports like that again. That was a huge low light for the season. Not like Benfica specifically, but just in general, the whole season.
Yeah. I think going beginning of this next year, when fans are actually allowed to go back in the stadiums, you're gonna see full packed houses, even in the small teams, for the first like half of the season because of all what's happened and how much they want to go back to watching soccer and live.
Yeah. People won't take it for granted.
And then half those fans, like 6 games in, they'd be like, this kickbanho aqui está dinheiro. We está equipa no bola corno. Estou melhor em casa.
Especially Spartanguistas when they realize that their team's not as good as they played this past year.
Cue up the Jonathan comments. We'll wait for them. I had one more topic here, but I'm going to swap it out just for the sake of time. I'll leave the fan expectations versus reality to start the season next year. With this being the last podcast of the 2021 season, we started doing this midway into the season. We weren't necessarily right at the beginning, but we were a few games in. There's been a lot of arguments, discussions, disagreements, laughs. What would you guys say was kind of your standout moments?
Paul's Pilinha.
Paul's Pilinha.
Paul's Pilinha.
Any others that stand out to you guys that you can remember?
I thought the Super League pod was a good one. I thought that the banter between everyone was pretty good on that one.
It was. I'm trying to think back on any other moments that we had.
I think when Kenny made countries like Canada and Denmark and Switzerland,
hate him. Who was the other guy?
The guy from last week.
They all stopped watching.
Or the guy in Barcelona that was talking to his girlfriend sleeping.
Who was the guy from last week? What was his name?
I can't remember. Night something. Night.
That was Jonathan.
Yeah, it was his
burner account.
Yeah. What about was it last week? What was the episode that Oscar's dad showed up in the middle of the podcast?
I know it's happened again.
Yelling at him?
Tonight.
Yeah. I remember that other
yelling
one.
At him.
He snuck up behind him. He didn't even see him.
No, somebody was knocking on my door and he didn't want to go answer it. Está lá americano na porta. I'm like, okay, go open it. He goes, no, I'm not to.
Oh, that was good. Biggie says it was the Chloe interview. Speaking of Chloe, she just resigned.
She just resigned, yeah.
Until 2024, so pretty good for her. We'll have to get her back on the podcast.
And congrats to them. They won the league.
Yeah, and they won the
Congrats
cup too. So we at least got some cups, some titles, even if it's not on the men's side. At least on the female side, we had something to celebrate. At least. Anything else that jumps out to you guys? There's so many that
Oscar and Tank's, peasy conversation. I mean, that thing lasted from the very beginning to the very end. So that was an ongoing battle.
We were at a cookout this weekend for my brother who's getting married, and Mikey, who we had on the podcast before, he was wearing a Peasy shirt, and your brother Jay showed up and he was sitting down and I was across the yard and he yells, "Mikey, did you see what this kid's wearing?" And I was like, "Yes, I did." And I thought of you as soon as I saw it. He was so pissed. So just so you know, Oscar, he's thinking about you even outside the podcast when it comes to Peasy. And the guys on the Portuguese podcast, as you guys I'm sure saw on the WhatsApp group, they were like, "Do you guys you're gonna have to get a UFC ring for Jason and Oscar and just have them fight it out." So
yeah, Jota and Jota, who's the other guy? They have an ongoing battle too.
Ugo.
Uguinho. Yeah. Uguinho and Jota. Those two need to get in the UFC ring and battle it out too.
They do. They'll be in Montelike together this summer, so maybe we can get them.
Stick them in one of the tanks.
They're gonna play.
Train the water. Let them go at it.
We're gonna have a friendly match, so we'll have to make sure that they're on separate teams to see if we can get some hostility out of the two of them. Should be interesting. Yeah, there's been a lot of interesting moments. The league, the prediction league, Zach Campos ended up winning. No one got points in the last game. He ended up winning with 31 points. He got 6 results correct, the score correct, and then he got 13 outcomes correct. Jay and Oscar finished in second place with 28 points. They both got 5 score correct and 13 results or outcomes correct. I finished in 7th with a measly 2 correct score predictions and 17 correct outcomes with 23 points. Kenny finished just behind me with 20 points, and he got 2 correct scores and 14
Let me just
correct
say,
outcomes.
I got cheated because I had like 4 correct
at the beginning
scores at the beginning before you started tracking it.
Fair.
And I definitely lost a lot of points there. But it's
fair.
fine.
Yeah. So next season we'll start it right at the beginning. This year we didn't start it till like 2 months in, just because I had to put all this together. So I agree with Kenny. We'll put an asterisk next
It's all right,
to
it's all
Zach
right.
Campos. But you know,
Put one next to me too, because I freaking
Bill
I got relegated.
Really
got
late to the
relegated.
season.
He got 22nd place out of 24. He's going to go compete in the Segunda Divisão next year. maybe he can work his way back up. Yeah, so that was fun. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Follow the page. My goal is for us to hit 15,000 followers before the
Let's
start
do
of
it.
next season. We're just about we're knocking on 13,000. I think we're off by like 100, so we're almost there. So try to get us to 15K before the start of next season, before the first official game. On YouTube, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell button, get notifications when we go live. We're also on Instagram, and then we're all on Twitter on our individual accounts. I do want to say that obviously we're going to take a break now between now and the beginning of next season with the Euro especially coming up. So there's not going to be much Benfica chatter apart from kind of the rumors that you'll see in the newspapers. So we'll probably pick back up when it comes to Benfica podcast sometime maybe mid-July, but we'll gauge based on what's coming out. But I will say we are going to do a special podcast in relation to the Euro. So we're going to cover, I know this is Benfica podcast, the Benfica page, but Portugal is the one common denominator that we all have as football fans. So we will be doing a special podcast coverage for the Euro competition. So we'll start the Thursday before the competition starts. We'll do a podcast just to talk about the selection, the group, our predictions, what do we think is going to happen. We'll do a preview of the first game against Hungary, and then we'll follow through for the group stage, and hopefully it takes us through to the knockout stages if we get that far. But stay tuned for that. We'll post about it coming up. So we'll take a 2-week more or less hiatus, and then we'll be back to cover the national team, and then we'll be back sometime in July for Benfica coverage. Boys, anything that you guys would like to finish off with to end this miserable season?
Well, I just want to say thanks for, to all the fans, I guess, out there that have watched us throughout the season, even during a very difficult season. Mike, thank you for putting this all together, getting all the special guests, Deliciu, Chloe, Guilherme. Like you put together some really good shows. So good work, and thanks to everyone.
Also, you got to thank your haters, Kenny. Canadians.
Yeah, dude. Can't forget your haters.
All love,
English.
all love, guys. All love.
Yeah, I say, I mean, my words, I make Kenny's my words. Like, I thank you, Mike, for putting this all together. The followers for being here. Either other team followers like Jonathan and stuff like that. It makes it fun. It's all in. Sometimes we say some swears up here, like or but it's all in fun. And we all love each other here. So, but yeah, it's been a fun year to chat with you guys about this miserable season. Hopefully we come together next year for a celebration, instead of being maybe we celebrate the Euro and then we go into
celebrate the Euro first.
Yeah, and then we go.
Then we can worry about Benfica
and celebrate the 38th, right? 38th we're going for.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's go for 38 now.
Billy, final words.
I mean, Oscar and Kenny hit on it. Just thanks everyone for participating in the chat, and for Mike for putting all this together and having us on. It's been a blast.
All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to take a break. Again, thanks everyone for listening, for tuning in, whether you watch us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Instagram doesn't do the live feed yet. But thanks for everyone to tuning in. Thanks for the follows. Like it if you enjoy what we do. If you don't enjoy it, like it too. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to cost you any money. Share it if you would like. We'd prefer if you'd share it, even if you didn't like it, just to kind of to reach a few more fans. Again, it doesn't cost you any money. We don't make any money off of it. It's just to kind of get a bigger scope of being able to reach more Benfica fans across the globe. So we'll be back in 2 weeks to cover the Euro. Again, thank you, boys, for joining again, and hopefully. Let's put this season to rest. Let's forget about it, and hopefully next season is a hell of a lot better than this one.
Sure will be.
What's up, guys?
Have a good night. Viva
Take it easy,
Benfica and
guys.
Oscar. Tell Pitoru we said thank you for the guest appearance.
You're welcome. Hey, and the cliff is coming this year, Jonathan.
Cliff's
This year
coming.
it's
Okay,
coming.
we'll wait for the cliff. Make sure you guys wait sitting down. Don't
Get your
stand up while you
parachutes
wait.
ready.
Yeah.
November, December this year, Cliff.
Okay, we'll wait for it. This is recorded, so we'll come back to it.
All right.
All right, boys. See ya.
Later, boys.
Later.